It looks like I'm live. I hope I am. If I'm not, well, then I will just do this and find that out later. All right, so it's a little early. It's about 7 a.m. And I thought I would do another one of the decks that is up for vote this month on the Patreon page for the new monthly deck that we will be using for the month of January for the daily forecast. I decided to put up 4 decks this month to see who chose which deck. So all of them don't have videos, so I thought, why not get them up? This is what I would consider to be probably one of the most famous decks, alongside the last unboxing I did, which was the Rider-Waite. To me, I think it's pronounced Thoth. That's how I pronounce it. It could be Toth. I'm not sure. But it is kind of like, it's been around for ages. And it's created by ALEISTER CROWLEY, who is a British occultist and a figure in his own right? Sort of notorious. He has a really storied past. It's an incredible deck that has crossed my path numerous times throughout my life, and so I thought I would bring it here and unbox it for you guys. I have, again, 2 sizes because, like I said in the previous Rider-Waite video, I'm obsessed with these smaller decks now, just how tiny they are and how you can fit so many cards into the screen. So I have both a standard size deck here, which is this bigger one, and then this smaller one here for doing clarifiers and things like that. Now, I'll just give you a little backstory. I don't know a lot about Crowley specifically, but I do know that he is involved with sort of dark magic or Satanism and all of that sort of stuff. And that's not necessarily I don't necessarily worry about that on my end, as far as that's his history, his past, and his connections. The deck itself is really interesting, very beautiful. It uses a lot of different sort of deeply spiritual influences like the Kabbalah and things like that a lot of decks don't really reference. So I really love that about this deck. Good morning, Stephanie Farrow. How are you, dear? Thank you for chiming in. That lets me know I'm actually live. So I just wanted to unbox it because it is like a quintessentially famous what I would consider a staple of tarot, let's say. So let's get this open. Again, there's 2 different sizes, and I will link these decks in the video description. If you're interested in buying them and you utilize the link that I leave through Amazon, I get a small percentage of the sale of the deck. Don't be put off by the whole, he was an occultist sort of stuff. ALEISTER CROWLEY was pretty amazing story dude, character. So just because the deck sort of came from a place doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil or anything like that. So inside the box, you slide it out. I took the plastic off the outside box. It's just wrapped in here. It's got the 22 major arcana, it says, 56 lesser. And then it has the diviner layout. It looks to me, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but basically Celtic cross. So that's on a sheet of paper for those of you that are new. There's also tons of books on this deck in particular that you can buy to accompany this deck to give you way deeper meaning or interpretation into just sort of the art and the imagery and the things that he includes in this deck. So know that that's also available with this deck. For those of you that are new or want to learn this deck in a more thorough manner, there's a bunch of different people that, have books out on this deck. So let's get this plastic off. It's boxed in a little similar little box. And like I said, this deck has been around for eons. Oh my God, more and more plastic. I hate plastic. All right, let me get this open really quick. We'll just go through these cards. And I believe he died, I don't know, in the 50s. He's a really interesting dude, aside from the whole, I don't even necessarily, I'm not bothered by the occultist stuff, but just what he's, So it comes with this little book, just the deck itself, if you just purchase the deck. And let's just kind of look at the book really quick. The book is actually, I would say, fairly thick. considering that it's a little, and this was copyrighted back in 78. It looks like it was first printed in 78. So I'm not sure of its origins because I feel like it's probably older than that because I know he died a lot longer ago, before that. He started his own religion, all this other stuff. But it has the different meanings of the suits, the swords, cups, discs would be pentacles. It's 78 paintings. It talks about the trumps. What else? It gives you it gives you definitions on all of the different cards, and they're numbered in order. It's sort of interesting. So you have like the Princess of Wands is card number 36 in, that would obviously be fire, and then it goes card number 37 is the Ace of Cups. So wait, does it go King, Queen? Oh, so you have in this deck, sorry, it's been a while since I've worked with it. In this deck, you have the Knight. You have it goes 10, Knight, Queen, Prince, and Princess. That's interesting. Knight, Queen, Prince, and then Princess. So it's almost as if your princess would be like your king of whatever suit, or would represent in, say, a more traditional as the king, because she seems to be the highest court card, which to me is interesting only from the standpoint that maybe Aleister Crowley did that because of, female fertility, reproduction, that sort of thing. So I've always sort of associated the female with the more powerful of the species, to be honest. So I kind of like that in the sense that he did it that way. But that will be something getting used to. All right, so let's just look at this stuff. And is there no Fool card? There's no Fool card. How is that possible? Maybe his Fool is at the end of the Major Arcana? Okay, let's pay attention, Dan. It's early, guys. Good morning, Mandy. How are you? Good morning, Christina. How are you? So let's look at some of the art of these cards. The art is rather epic. I feel like this is sort of a standard size deck, but I feel like I've used these cards. I shouldn't say played with these cards, but I've utilized a deck that's larger than this originally. When I first experienced these cards, I feel like it was bigger, maybe slightly like 1.5 inches bigger. So there might even be decks out there available that are larger, so you can really see this artwork even better. And it's pretty amazing, these paintings. They're really kind of incredible. So this is the Magus, or Magus. I'm not sure how you would say that. And it also has, I believe these are symbols from the Kabbalah, and then they also have the planetary symbols. I believe that is Mercury, which is interesting to me because I always thought that the magician was Aquarius, but maybe I've been wrong the entire time. So the Priestess, which is the High Priestess, card number 2. It's interesting that it doesn't start with a Fool card. So I'm wondering if he's hiding at the end of the 22 cards, because the Empress, and there's her representation of Venus, which we knew that. Some people, because Venus is so closely associated with Taurus, they pair the Empress with Taurus. The Emperor, the symbol of Aries. And then I don't know, I believe these are the Kabbalah meanings, which I don't know them. So I'm not super familiar with the Kabbalah. So the Hierophant. The Lovers. It's a really beautiful Lovers card. And these cards are like so rich. Like, I don't know, they're just really beautiful. The Chariot, sign of Cancer. Oh, I love this. Adjustment. I believe this is Judgment. Or no, this would be Justice, I think. He calls it Adjustment. Sign of Libra. The Hermit. There's certainly a magic about these cards. And I kind of feel like with these cards, even though he like dealt in the occult and stuff like that, I feel like each reader brings their own sort of energy, power, essence to a deck. right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that like if you're working with this deck that you're doing something wrong or bad. I think that you can, if this art speaks to you and it resonates with you on some level, which I think that, you know, sometimes the occult can be misunderstood, right? Um, uh, you'll bring your own twist sort of to this in your readings, which I think is beautiful. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. There's deep like Egyptian references and things like that in these cards that are just beautiful. So this is Lust, which I believe this would be the devil. Oh, here, there's the Hanged Man. So this is a sign of Pisces. And see, like this snake here would be like the snake of sort of transmutation. There's Ankh, which is again Egyptian symbolism. They don't even have the sign of Pisces here. They have this sort of triangle. That's the thing with this deck too, is I feel like there's so much that you can learn probably from working with it and studying it. Whether or not you necessarily need all that information is a whole nother question. The Death card. And to me, this feels like a rather triumphant death card, if that makes any sense. Usually death can feel rather bleak, helpless in the artwork and others, where to me, this, although it's sort of, you know, not the most pleasant of images, he feels like he's almost pulling on these cords, right? So it's like there's a fight in this death card versus a lot of them feel sort of, what's the word? Like not fruitless, but like, you know, inevitable. Where this, it feels like there's still like some oomph in here. We have art. And I believe this is temperance. This translates to temperance. Yeah, because that's the sign of Sagittarius. And you see her mixing the fire and the water together. Oh, here's the devil. So what is lust then? Lust, I'm not sure what lust would be associated with. What would lust be? Huh, I'll have to look that one up because I'm drawing a blank right now. It's early, guys. So the devil, look at like, you know, the phallic imagery, the goat, all of it. The tower. It's a really manic tower card. I'm going to pull some of these down to make space. We have the star. We all know this is one of my favorite cards of the deck. And this is Aquarius energy for sure. I'm awake because, well, we have the full moon coming. Is it tonight? It might be tonight is the full moon in Cancer. It's the last full moon of the year. And obviously it's in Cancer, which is the moon sign, Christina. So that might be why you're awake. Speaking of the moon, we're at the moon card. The sun. That's beautiful. The Aeon. I'm going to have to look these up because I'm not sure what the universe. Oh, there's the Fool card here. So he places the Fool at the end of the journey. Interesting. The Aeon. What is the Aeon? Why am I not? I don't know. I'll have to look these up because Lust and the Aeon are like card number 20. Should be 20, right? So let's see here. What is 20? I'll tell you right now. Damn it. This is going to drive me nuts. I'm just not, my head's not working very well. The star, the moon, the sun. So is the Aeon then judgment? Okay, so the Aeon is judgment. And what would lust be? I'll have to figure this out and look more closely at it. I don't want to hold you guys up. All right, so there's the universe, which would be like the world. And then we have the Fool. And then we're in the Suit of Wands. Number 2 of Wands is Dominion. 3 of Wands is Virtue. So he has different names for these. Like 4 of Wands is Completion, which is kind of cool. Strife, which is the 5 of Wands. So that can be kind of cool for some of you too, like for those of you that are new, because 6 of Wands is usually a celebration or victory, and then he's got written down here, victory. He also has different symbolism in here. I believe that's the sign for, I hope that's a sign for Leo. It certainly looks like it to me slightly, and I'm not sure. I believe this is the planet of Jupiter. So he's got all of these different references in here. The 7 of Wands, which is valor. Swiftness, which is the 8 of Wands. And we've got Mercury and Sagittarius, which these are not referenced on other decks ever. So I kind of think that's really sort of cool. The 9 of Wands in the sign of Sagittarius, and the 10 of Wands in the sign of Sagittarius. And I don't know that offhand what that is. So, okay, so we have the Princess of Wands. So I think the Princess is not like the King, even though it's listed in the book the opposite direction. I feel like the Princess should be like the Page. So it should go Princess, Knight, or Princess, Prince, Queen, and then Knight. I don't know. I'll have to read this up on this one and figure out, because I'm gonna have a hard time seeing the Knights as kings. So I'm not sure. And then we have the discs. 2 of Pentacles, which would be change. 3, which is works or collaboration. So that makes sense. We have power, the 4 of discs. 5 of discs, which is worry. 6 of discs, which is success. We have 7 is failure. 8 is prudence. 9 is gain. And I believe that's the symbol for Virgo. And I'm not sure who these people are in the discs, but... And then 10 is wealth. And I believe these are Kabbalah symbols. I'm not sure. Some of them are obviously planetary, but... Here's the Princess of Discs. I kind of like her. She's really like Earth Mother, like, don't fuck with me, fellas. With this like sort of fur at her feet. She's amazing. I haven't looked at these cards in ages. I remember this is probably one of the first decks I ever came in contact with years and years ago. Queen of Discs. And then the Knight of Discs. Ace of Swords. Aren't they beautiful? I like them, Stephanie. I really do. This is the 2 of Swords, which is peace. It's interesting he associates this with peace, because I feel like the 2 of Swords is usually indecision, trying to choose between 2 things and not being quite sure. But with his, he finds, we still have the like traditional imagery of the crossed swords, which gives you that kind of halt, stop, pause. But they're kind of going through this sort of flower or this lotus, which is interesting. So it's like once we maybe achieve that answer, we find that peace within ourselves. The 3 of Swords, which is sorrow. This is an interesting 3 of Swords too, because it's usually depicted with that heart. Truce. Defeat. Science. Futility is the 7 of Swords. And then interference is the 8 of Swords. 9 of Swords is cruelty. 10 of Swords is ruin. Damn, they're not playing around with that 10 of Swords. We've got the Prince of Swords. That's really beautiful too. The Prince, oh, sorry, this is the Princess of Swords. I really like the Princess cards, I think. The Prince of Swords. The Queen of Swords. She's beautiful. Look at it. She's like holding her sword, and then she's holding somebody's head in her hand. Damn. And then the Knight of Swords. I love that too, because he's like ready to move. Like, let's go. Ace of Cups. So yeah, we're going through the whole deck, guys. 2 of Cups, which is love. Abundance is 3 of Cups. Luxury is 4 of Cups. Disappointment is 5. Pleasure is 6. 7 is debauch. 8 is indolence. 9 is happiness. 10 is satiety. We have the Princess of Cups. We have the Prince of Cups. The Queen. And then the Knight. And then, I'm not sure, it says the tarot is a pictorial representation of the forces of nature as conceived by the ancients according to a conventional symbolism. At first, one would suppose this arrangement to be arbitrary, but it is not. It is necessitated by the structure of the universe, and in particular of the solar system, as symbolized by the Holy Kabbalah, ALEISTER CROWLEY. Oh, interesting. It's the Order Templi Orientis is in Austin, Texas, of all places. That's where the international headquarters is. Who would have known? What is this? And then there's just this card here. Not sure what that represents. It's got all the different colors. It's beautiful, though. So that is the Thoth deck. It also comes in a smaller size. Like I said, I will... with art like this, though, I don't necessarily know if it deserves... I mean, I think that it needs to be bigger just so you can really take it all in and sort of ruminate with it and feel these cards and see what it stirs up in you, what it makes you think about. But it is like a quintessential staple in tarot. It's probably one of the more famous decks, I would say, in my opinion. And it deserves its place in with much respect for the art, for the work, for the history of it. So I wanted to include it and unbox it for you guys so that you guys could see it and make a decision. As far as the cardstock is beautiful. It's light. It's not stiff whatsoever. I mean, listen to that shuffle, and that's the first shuffle. That's a perfect, beautiful shuffle. But they've also been making this deck since, the 70s, so they know what they're doing, these guys. And so these cards are gorgeous. I think that, for those of you that are interested in it, you should check them out. They are up. For those of you that don't understand what I mean as far as the Patreon vote, there's 4 decks that are up for vote this month to be utilized in the daily forecast, and my Patreon subscribers get to vote and cast their vote to choose the deck that we look at and we work with. And then I'll pair it with a secondary deck. This is one of the decks that's up for the vote. If you're interested in voting, you can certainly go over to Patreon, look at the subscription levels and choose one. You need to choose the higher levels to be able to vote. But once you subscribe, you can then cast your vote, and it will determine what deck we work with. And that happens every month. Either I put up the oracles or the tarot decks up there for vote. So my subscribers get to choose which deck we work with. I'm just shuffling these. I usually always shuffle a deck and see what the deck wants to tell us. So let's see, what do we need today? And we're in the Chariot today. Interesting that the Chariot shows up because we do have the full moon in Cancer coming up. Is it tonight? Is it tonight? Oh, sorry, no, it's the 30th is the full moon, but it will be in the sign of Cancer. Chariot is can be about celebration. It can also be about nurturing. It can be about fast-moving energy. It can also feel like about determination in a way, right? Being really emotionally connected to something, so much so that we're not going to take no for an answer. To me, it's always sort of an auspicious card. The only downside I usually see with the Chariot would be if things feel like they're moving sometimes too quickly, or things are outside of our control and we're being moved along a path, not necessarily that we're not in agreement to, but we can sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed by the speed with which everything is moving. But I would say that for those of you that had a question or that are looking to this card and applying it to your life, I would say take this energy and run with it. Finish out the year with determination, with goals set in mind, sort of almost maybe even presetting for next year as to, what do we want next year to look like? Setting that intention and moving towards it through not only feeling it, but also taking action towards moving towards it, and allow that momentum to build, right? And that is sort of the speed with which the Chariot can travel. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It is early, guys, so bear with me. And I also love that this card shows up, wow, we have the moon moving into Cancer, and we have, it's the last full moon of our year. Cancer is also a very nurturing sign. So remember self-care, take care of yourself. It's okay to put yourself first, right? When we look at this card, we see this gentleman seated right in the dead center. He is where all of the action is at. That spinning disc is sort of centered around his third chakra. To me, that's where our power and energy center resides. It's where we also manifest into physical matter, our reality. And so we have a lot of activity happening there too. So the things that we feel, that we desire, that we want, the Chariot tells us if we're, dedicated, focused, and diligent in our sort of movement towards it, we can certainly have it. That's my belief with this card. All right, you guys. Good morning. Thank you, Stephanie. Sorry, I'm having coffee and I'm trying to wake up. It's weird when you get up before the sun. You're like, what is going on? I think this has to do with old age. I get up now. Well, it didn't help that the dog barked this morning and woke me up at I don't know, 4:30 in the morning or something. So, all right, you guys, have a great day. I will be back on to do the daily forecast in a moment, to run the daily forecast. And I will see you guys. I forgot to do the charming last night, by the way. I forgot it was Sunday. I was so off track. So I may do a charming tonight instead to make up for yesterday's. Charming should have happened last night, and I totally spaced it until it was too late, and I realized it was Sunday. All right. Have a great day, you guys. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Please give the video a like. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're watching over on YouTube, vice versa if you're watching on Facebook, or cross-pollinate, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, go and like the Facebook business page. Vice versa, if you're watching on Facebook, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And check everything out. Leave me any questions or comments, and I look forward to talking to you guys later. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.